Welcome back to video number 10 in our series of quick strike tutorials for the month of February. Thanks again for coming by and having a look at what we have to offer. Today we are going to cover Pricing Tools Trade Builder. So far to this point, if this is the first video you're watching, we have looked at the market dashboard section, the futures info menu, pricing sheets, standard sheets, as well as a review of the overall use of these menu items up top and the welcome section, which gives you some details about how to contact support or manage your account, as well as what the buttons over here mean in terms of functionality. Today we're going to stick with Trade Builder, and we are going to do this in two parts. We'll cover the basics of it first, and then we'll come back tomorrow and do the second part of the Trade Builder. This way, the videos won't be too long, and they'll be a little bit more palatable in smaller chunks as opposed to one big long one. Anyway, let's get started. Let's go over to Trade Builder. Here we are. We're already in our April contract over here. If you're in a product for the first time, it's going to generally default to that first contract. I was in the application already and had selected the April contract, so I'm already here. So we'll start there as well. So let's just describe what we have here on the page. You're going to notice we have the analysis bar like you've seen on the pricing sheet and a few other places. So again, if we can manipulate information on that page with the analysis bar, we're going to do it as well. You'll see we have our title bar up here like we did before, and as we have in other places, if I hover over a symbol or a price, they're going to turn into links, and I'm going to be able to click those and get more information about that symbol and or price, futures price in this case. Same thing is happening over here for the strike. So again, these pages are all sort of married together in terms of the functional pieces or the hotspots on each page. So keep that in mind as you're playing around and utilizing things in case you want to see other information or more detailed information about the particular expiration. Okay, so let's just get started. Today we're going to cover the position section and the strategy section, and we'll come back and talk about the risk runs and history section tomorrow. So this way we can get a nice, concise trade building demonstration. You can go off and play with it a little bit yourself, and then come back and have played with the risk run section or the history section prior to looking at the video and have a little bit idea, or just come back tomorrow and learn more about what's happening. So you're going to see here that underneath the analysis bar there's a button section. Okay, so we have a calculate button, which will, once we build a position, we'll click that calc button and it will calculate the position and put all that information over onto the right hand side. The load button is going to be available for us if we had saved something prior. So if I take a look and see what's in there, yeah, we saved in April, we saved what looks like a broken call fly. So you can load something up previously. So let's just click on that guy and see what it looks like. So now I've loaded up this broken call fly, and here it is. It's going to load it in calculate position for me and show me all the details about it. So so that's a good thing to know, that you can actually save a trade once you've built it if you want to keep looking at it later on, or you want to keep an eye on it going forward. Okay, so that's to give you an idea that stuff that's around. You can load it again. You can save things. You can manipulate them the next day. Take a look, all that kind of stuff. So let's get started from a clean slate standpoint. So if we click the new button, things are going to go away. Okay, and we'll come back and talk about those other buttons that we saw there but didn't explain after we build our next trade. So let's build a broken put fly instead of a call fly, and hit the calc button, and we're going to see that we have something that looks similar, flipped on its side pretty much across the at the money, and we're going to see our details over here. So let's just describe what we have on this page, and then we'll come back and start playing around with it and see what we got. So we have a P&L chart over here, expected return chart. So you're going to see what the trade looks like. The blue line is at expiration, and the gray line is the expiration chart. You know, what it would look like at expiration, but shifted by the amount of premium, which happens to be a small amount. That's why there's not much of a gap. And then we have the yellow, red, blue, and gray lines, which are basically saying what this theoretically what this trade currently looks like, what it looks like in a week, or in 10 days, what it looks like in 20 days, and what it looks like in 30 days, or I think it's 11, 22, and 33 based on the amount of time to expiration. So we have our break-even chart over here. We have our underlying futures price as it currently stands is in red, and then we have our break-even line to tell us where we're gonna get that money back if we happen to buy that spread, which is what we're doing here. Then it's going to show you where the Greeks are currently and how the Greeks change as the underlying moves. You have your position section, your Greeks section, your premium section, and we'll explain why these have the same date but may look different. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. And then we have our profit and loss section. So it says what are we earning? What's the current value? Settlement price, what's the P&L, that type of stuff, okay? So, and then we have our max return, and we did a max return on the downside and the upside, because a lot of times brokers in particular, building trades for their customers, they'll do like a 1x2 or something like that, and where the bias is that something's going to move up, but the downside looks horrific in terms of the P&L. So we split that out so people can focus on the fact that this trade is an upside, this trade is put on for an upside bias. This is what the P&L would be in the likely event that it goes this way, as opposed to moving in the opposite direction where there's a loss. But that's what the split is there for, okay? So once you build a trade, you can use the analysis bar here to make changes. So let's do something that's going to change it more deliberately the first time, so you can see this graph change without just a little change you might see from moving the futures around. So you can click on this calendar button to bring up a calendar, or you can simply come into this box and say, I want to go to just 20 days left of expiration. And once you lose focus on that, you're going to see what this looks like now. So we've seen what this position looks like now, as opposed to when we started out. And then you'll come down here and you'll see that the values have changed as well as the Greeks and the P&L and that type of stuff. Okay, once you make a change, you can reset that by hitting this blue arrow, okay, and that will recycle everything back. And you can flip futures up and down here by using the arrow keys. This is going to recalculate once it's going to wait for clicks for you, so you can do a bunch of clicks pretty quickly in a row and then get to the price that you want to see how what the position looks like. And the same thing happens on the downside here, so I can move them back down. Okay, so it's going to pay attention to the interval between the clicks, so you don't have to click and wait, click and wait, click and wait. So change your futures, change the volatility, change the days to expiration, and see what that trade looks like as you make those adjustments. Now I can go back here and clear that out, and now I'm back to where the market currently is. Okay, so we saw how we loaded the trade, but if I wanted to save this trade, okay, I can click here and say save it, and I can type whatever I want here. In this case, I can do a broken put fly. Let's call it P fly. Okay, and I could put whatever premium I want in here. So let's say I got I did it for 0. I didn't get any credit on it. Okay, and I'm going to check this watch box, and I'll hit save. Okay, so now let's clear this out, and when I do the load, it's going to show both the trades in there. So let's click on that put fly again and say okay. And now it's brought it back up to where we were. But one thing that we're going to notice, and what the whole point of that exercise was, is what you're going to see now is that these two fields are different. So now we're going to see, it says Feb 10th on both of them, but this is the trade date. So what this is going to always represent to you is where the premium was when you put this on. So you can leave the theoretical premium there if you're just building it to track something. But if you actually traded it and want to keep an eye on it, then you can make the change in that premium box, and then it'll tell you this is where I traded, this is what it looks like, and then how it's going to decay over the step period of days. Okay, so that is an important thing to remember, because you're going to get a lot of questions of why are these different, and you're going to see if you open this up, if you build something and open up the next day, then it's going to say the date for the trade date. So it'll say 10th, and this will say the 11th and the 21st and the 3rd and the 14th, etc. Okay, so that is how we save and load. And if you wanted to make some changes and save this as another type of trade, you can hit the Save As button, and it'll go to another record and be available for you to use. We also have a plus minus button here, so this will toggle the position. So it'll flip it from long a butterfly to short a butterfly, okay? And you can also hedge this position. So right now, if we come down here and look and see what our delta is, it says 8 delta. Now remember, we've scaled. We have our scale factors in here, so that's scaled by 100, so it's 0.08. So what you're going to see here is a 0.08 or something close here. So this tells you how many futures you have to do, and you could pick the price you want to hedge it, or you can go at the current price. So this happens to be the new current price. This is the last time we refreshed this page, so let's just get back to where where we had the page, and I could say okay, and we're going to see this change. All right, and when we come down here, we're going to notice that we now have a position for a future in our position window, okay? And we also see it in our Greeks as well. And you'll see we hedged it at 36.50. So the strike for the futures row is going to represent where you hedged it, and the future price is going to tell you where things currently are. As you can see, they're all the same here because it's they're all hedged by the same underlying, or they all the same underlying associated with that expiration. Okay, so and then if you don't like the hedge, you can clear the hedge, get rid of it, and when you make a change, the hedge will change, obviously. And even if you had a hedge in there before, if you added a leg to the spread, then when you click the hedge button, it's going to show you what you need to re-hedge that position again. Now, you'll notice that I put all ones and twos in here. I didn't put hundreds and 200s. We recommend that you just build the trade in here as it would be from just like the individual legs. And it's not really meant to be a tracker for a portfolio. It's more meant to give you an idea of what things look like, what the P&L looks like, and how you expect that trade to move along. Okay. Finally, you'll see this is a fairly nice looking screen here. You can print this out as a PDF, but if you want to have a little bit nicer looking version of that trade, there's a few things you can do. Okay, so when you save a trade, you're going to see this little view button pop up, and I'm going to click on this, and what that does, it's going to create this report for you, so you can save this down yourself if you want to a PDF. Landscape is best for these reports. Okay, or you can also view that same report internally here. If it's a little bit easier for you, if you're done looking at the position, you know it's where you want it to be, and you can make your manipulations and changes, and you can see your chart change and your table changes a little bit more thoroughly. And finally, if you wanted to have a bigger version of that chart, you have it over here in the chart section. Okay, so the report section gives you a nice little clearer view. The position section gives you the place where you're going to manipulate things a little bit more, and you have the option to use or print out whichever ones you want there. And finally, what I wanted to cover really quickly is this trade analysis section. Now, you saw how we did everything as onesies and twosies, right? So if we really wanted to see what our Greeks and what our position would look like if we did 100 or a 10 or 1,000, so let's just put 100 in here and hit go, then we're going to see our data will show up over here as if it were a 100 lot. Okay, so that sort of removes that whole scale factor thing and shows you what you're really looking at from a Greek standpoint over here. And you'll also see down here, if you ever wanted to change, a lot of the traders want to see what the at the money equivalence of this position is in another contract. You can just come in here and pick whatever contract you want and click that button, and it's going to tell you how many at the money straddles you'd have to do in order to be hedged from a volatility or vega standpoint in this different contract. Okay, so just a little fun trade analysis section that you can use as well. So finally, anything that you save in the trade builder or any place where you can save any of the trades or spreads or stuff like that is going to show up in this manage quick strike section under option spreads and watches. So under option spreads, what you're going to see is this is just going to give you the list where you built it, what the symbol is. It's a custom because it wasn't named because it's a broken fly. What the price is right now and your trade date, okay? And you can quickly take a look at this thing here to see what it looks like now. And you'll notice here that in this column you see a little minus sign, and the hovers don't work when I'm doing video, so I apologize for that. But what you would see there, it would say delete watch, because I created watches each time I save this trade. So let's go over here to the watch list and you'll see. So I added both of those trades, and that minus sign was an indicator that that was the watch column. That was an indicator to say this exists as a watch, so it's going to be in that other table as well, which is what we're seeing here. And what's nice about the watch section is that you can see where the trade is currently, where it's traded, and your P&L. So you can run like a little mini risk P&L for yourself with the watch list. And you can also tag these watches if you want to group them, that kind of stuff. And you can see the details over here. And if I go back to this option spreads, if I want to get rid of a watch, so say I want to get rid of that call fly that we had in there before. So you sure you want to delete this watch? I'm going to say okay, and here you go again. It showed a plus. Now here's where I can add it back to the watch if I wanted to. And to finish that example, I go back to watches. I'm only going to see one here. Okay, so pretty simple, straightforward stuff using the trade builder. Again, we covered the position section and the strategy section. We'll come back tomorrow and look at the risk runs in the advanced section with the history tab. So Thanks for being here, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.